Hi guys! I'm Edmund Lizzy of Fanservice, a Tumblr where I blog about K-pop abs and bulges. I started this YouTube channel to talk to my many fans more directly. I would do it by posting more selgas, but I don't want other people to feel bad about themselves when they see how pretty I am. Anyway. SHINee recently released a new music video for their second Japan album called Boys Meet You. Well, it's really called a promotional video, or PV, in Japan. Since I know my opinions are taken very seriously, for a puppet at least, I thought I'd review the video and give you my thoughts on what was awesome in the PV. The big headline is, "On-yu and Key at last shine brightest in a music video made for Japan." For many years, SHINee fans have seen trips to Japan magically result in Taemin becoming the main singer and the main visual, while other members lost parts and exposure. Not anymore. In my opinion, On-yu and Key owned the song and the video. Key's dancing looked particularly energetic when he was leading the group in the middle of the formation, and On-yu's voice really worked well for this style of music. The part where On-yu shook his hips in the middle at the end and closed out the song with lots of energy was awesome too. The On-yu and Key team, otherwise known as On Key, blew me away at the part where they sang together while Key did a snaky thing with his arm and body while dancing in a quarter and singing "I Will Find a Way," and then On-yu let loose a high note at the end. Let me tell you, they weren't the only ones hitting the high notes. On-yu and Key really stood out visually too. Key, in particular, looked radiant with his longish blonde hair and a white headband and a parody Versace t-shirt. His orange outfit looked great too, even though I'm not usually a fan of orange of any sort or man leggings under shorts. On-yu wore a jacket that screamed money, mainly because it had little metal dollar signs all over it. I like that On-yu got to have some fun fashion here. In Dazzling Girl, On-yu's delicious debulge was, let's say, minimized behind a man skirt. It was almost like the stylists realized there's so much man to On-yu that they needed to hide it behind a giant panel of fabric. Both On-yu and Key seem to invest lots of energy into giving different expressions and little gestures for the camera that seemed fresh. Key, in particular, with his gesturing to the time and his fun hand wave, seemed to be giving the camera his all. In the middle of the pack were Jonghyun and Taemin, whose singing parts seemed a bit more vocally subdued and had less expressive beauty shots than On Key in this PV. They were still great and really fucking sexy and all that, but it's almost like they were either tired or they were told to rein in the expressiveness. Jonghyun singing with his hand in his pocket really didn't impress me. Music videos aren't cocktail hour at the members-only clubhouse. Get your fucking hand out of your pocket and act like you're excited to be in the PV. Jonghyun's and Taemin's gestures were a bit less fresh, and even their dance moves were pretty familiar, such as Jonghyun's hip rock that looked like a leftover from Lucifer or Sherlock. A delicious leftover, but SHINee is too young as a group to start referencing their own songs and choreography. The band needs to stay fresh and experimental. The Jongtae familiarity carried over into their outfits, too. We've seen Taemin's tie-dyed t-shirt on Kai before at an airport, and Jonghyun seems to have a wardrobe filled with those muscle shirts with the overly large armholes. I think it's important for companies not to get more cheap or less creative on the styling in a music video than they would in dressing their stars for the airport, because ultimately, this is a great song, and it deserves special clothes. The glaring fashion disaster in this video was Minho, though. I'm concerned that Minho's pants were so tight that whatever man bits he may or may not have had are a thing of the past. Poor Minho was stuck with some horrifically ill-fitting trousers for a video about the making of the Why So Serious MV that gave him a tent in the crotchal region large enough to house a family of 4 for the weekend. Surely there are some tailors in the Seoul metropolitan area that could do justice to Minho's whatever that is. The man should be able to hurdle bandmates without fear of pulling a Taemin. Minho also received the most ridiculous dance moves in this video, which he made all the more amusing by doing them with such gusto. The running move was hilarious. What's sad is that Minho's energetic rap actually worked well in the song, so it's unfortunate that he stood out on account of following the thrift shop trend a few months too late and dancing like an 80s jazzercise instructor trying to melt off the pounds. Ho! You're thin enough, scale it back, and let some of those pounds stay so the poor Cordy Nunas can find you some clothes that fit. Stop. Before I move on to more serious matters, can we talk about the flawlessness of the band members' skin in this video? They were so smooth and polished and glowing that I got upset mid-video and tried to put on a Korean face mask so I can look pretty like my oppas too, even though I made of polyester. The one thing that was distracting, not in a good way, would be Taemin's lips, which looked lovely and kissable and all that, but also a bit over-plumped. When we see his lips looking so suddenly full, I feel my own lips get a bit numb, and I can't feel my lips because I'm a puppet. I asked my followers of the Tumblr blog at fanservice.com if they had any questions for me about the music video. Here's one from Anonymous, who wants to know whose lines I thought were the best. I think Eunwoo and Key not only have the voices that go well with the song, but they also had the parts that really defined the sound, especially when they had their on-key interlude around the 2-minute, 35-second mark. Another question from Anonymous. What were my favorite and least favorite parts of the dance? Well, my favorite move would actually be when Taemin does that thingy in the center of his bandmates. It looked really cool, and I was really surprised by it. My favorite part of the standard choreography would be when Key was leading the band's dancing in the center, and he worked his fine ass off to deliver so much energy, and I couldn't take my eyes off of him. My least favorite parts of the dance would be the obviously recycled bits. I love Minho jumping over his bandmates and Jong leading an OT5 hip thrust, but I want something new that doesn't make me nervous about whether SHINee is going to start settling in and making remakes of their greatest hits from now on. A final question, this one also from Anonymous. What about their looks? Just like their clothes and style and attitude and stuff. What remains to be said about the style of the SHINee members is which member owned the video and really made the biggest impression. I hereby name Key, the king of the breaking news PV. He looked amazing, his dancing and singing had tons of energy, he was really connected with the camera and with fans to make the song extra exciting. Excellent work, fucking flawless King Key, yay! Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Anonymous or Anonymous Says for submitting questions for me to answer. Do you agree or disagree with my review of SHINee's breaking news? Do you need to break the truth to me? Or do you feel like we're on the same page? Tell me in the comments below. If you have questions you'd like me to answer in a future video, you can put them in the comments too. And you can check out our other videos and subscribe for future installments from the Fan Service Headquarters team, including my sometimes friend, the Plague Doctor. In the meantime, you can check out my blog, Fanservice, at fanservice.com and see all the K-pop boys and girls that are destroying my polyester-filled life. Bye!